Hi, I'm Brendan Mosher, and today we are making wheat pasta with homemade meat sauce. So for the meat sauce, we need ground beef, onion, garlic, some bell pepper, tomato paste, tomato sauce, diced tomatoes, basil, pepper, table salt, and oregano. You can see that I have extra ingredients here for the rest of my family, which will be coming over today. I got my recipe from allrecipes.com, which you can find a link in the description at the end of this video. Now let's get started. Okay, so I'm just finishing up cutting up the rest of these vegetables to put into the food processor. Okay, so that's done. Adding the garlic, closing the lid, locking it. That looks pretty well. Now I'm going to add some onion. Probably 3 halves will do. If you look at that, you see you still have a couple hunks in there, so I'm probably going to need to go a little bit more. Now you can see, now you can definitely see how much better that looks. So I'm just finishing up the bell peppers here. I'm just going to throw them all in here. Give them a good chop. And that looks good. You still have a few decent hunks in there. Just gonna pull our blade out. Once again, pretty good. And dump that into our veggie bowl. And now we're gonna add this to our rest of our meat sauce. So I am now browning the meat along with our vegetables. This is not a very fatty meat. It is ground sirloin that I get from my uncle, who is a cattle farmer, so we know it's very, very fresh. So we're going to wait for this to continue browning, and we will come back and add the rest of our ingredients. As you can see, the meat has been browned and the vegetables been cooked. And now we're going to add the rest of our ingredients for our meat sauce. So first we're going to add our cans of tomato paste, which the trick is to open both sides of the can and push the paste through with the other side. There we go. Okay, now we're just stirring in the tomato paste, and we're going to now add our diced tomatoes. So there we go. 1, 2, 3. We have 3 of each of these cans because we tripled the batch. It originally just calls for 1 can. 2, 3, and we're going to stir this in a little bit. There we go. Now it's starting to get a lot more moist. Stir it in. Okay. That's good for now. Now we're going to add our oregano. Give it a little stir.
How much?
Now our basil. 6 teaspoons of both oregano and basil. 3 teaspoons of salt. And 1.5 teaspoons of black pepper. Just stir that in a little bit. Now that I've got everything in my meat sauce, I'm going to let it simmer for 1 hour and stir it occasionally as instructed in the directions. Get your utensils cleaned off, put the lid on, and turn the heat down. Now we're going to make our whole wheat pasta, and I got the recipe from allrecipes.com, and I'm doubling the batch, so that's why we're going to have 2 mixing bowls. So the ingredients we need are all-purpose white flour, kosher salt, wheat flour, eggs, and olive oil. First, we're going to mix our dry ingredients into these 2 mixing bowls. So we are just finishing measuring the rest of our white flour. There we go, 3 cups. 3 cups of each for the first batch. So in goes the white flour. And in goes the wheat flour. One teaspoon salt. Bowl into the mixer. Lock it in. Mixer down. Turn it to stir. We're just stirring in our ingredients right now. We don't want it to beat it up. So now I'm finishing cracking the eggs. And then we're going to add them into our mixer. But first, we don't want to touch the rest of our food with fry pans. So we're going to scrub them. Use a clean towel. Turn off the water. Add all 8 of our eggs into the mixer. Oil, we need 1 tablespoon. And 1 teaspoon. Then we're going to put that on stir, let it mix up. So we have just finished mixing all of our ingredients together, and we noticed while we were mixing them that it was fairly dry, so we did like the comment said on the recipe on the website to add just about 3/4 of a cup of water. So now we're gonna take the dough out and we're gonna knead it on our generously floured mat. So get a little bit floured up on our hands so it doesn't stick to us more. Now we're gonna knead it. So we're just about done kneading our dough. So the next step in the recipe is to cover it with a cloth and let it stand for 30 minutes. So we're gonna do that. And then we'll come back in 30 minutes and continue with our recipe. Okay, so right now I'm cutting the tough ends off the asparagus. Then I'm going to stick the asparagus on a cooking sheet and put them under the broiler at 550 with some olive oil and some seasoning. So we're just now placing the asparagus onto the baking sheet, finishing arranging them so they would all get an even cook under the broiler. Now we're going to add some olive oil so they won't stick to the pan and they get a nice crisp flavor from it. And then some garlic salt, which will add even more flavor and not just have plain asparagus on there. And then it'll go into the oven. Under the broiler. And then we'll put it in for 25 minutes and check it when needed. So our dough has rested for about a half hour. So now we're going to cut it in half to make it more manageable. And we're going to then start rolling it out to make our noodles. So here we go. There we go. Cut it in half. Put this half of the dough on a plate over here. And then we're going to flour this half to make sure it doesn't stick anywhere when we're trying to roll it. Flour the mat a little bit more. And we'll start rolling. Shape it into a ball a little bit. And now we'll start rolling it out. Oh, flour the rolling pin first. Here we go. So I'm just now finishing rolling out the rest of this half of dough. And that looks pretty good thin-wise to me. So now the directions say to roll it up lightly so it's easier to cut it into noodles. And then I'm going to cut it very, very thin. So now that we have cut our noodles, we are placing them into boiling water for them to cook. It will take 2 to 3 minutes and they will float to the top when they are done. And then we will put them on a plate and serve them with our asparagus and meat sauce. Now that our asparagus is done broiling, we're taking it out of the oven and placing it onto a safe surface, and we will put it on our dish to serve. So now we are pulling out the cooked noodles from the pot and dumping them into another bowl for easier serving. So now we will make our plate. We'll grab some noodles, place them on, and now we will go to the sauce. Grab a ladle, some sauce onto there, put that back in the pot, grab our same tongs, and put some asparagus on the plate. And that is our meal.